Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I consecrated you. I have appointed you a prophet to the nations. Then I said, Alas, Lord God, behold, I do not know how to speak, because I am a youth. But the Lord said to me, Do not say, I am a youth, because everywhere I send you, you shall go, and all that I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid for them, for I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. Then the Lord stretched out his hand and touched my mouth, and the Lord said to me, Behold, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have appointed you this day over the nations and over the kingdoms. Jeremiah 1:4-10. The first thing I realized about Jeremiah was that he was young and felt inadequate. Can you relate? But I think the amazing thing is that it wasn't about what Jeremiah thought he could or couldn't do, but what God would choose to do through him. Jeremiah's part was to listen for God's voice and obey. We can't do the things of the Lord in our own strength, those things that change lives and impact eternity. It must be God through us. But what does that look like to allow God to work through us to do things we could never do on our own, just as Jeremiah confessed? Well, picture with me, if you will, a Sunday morning at a small country church in Tennessee. Pews are filling up as the pastor finishes saying hello and shaking hands with the congregation with his warm and gracious smile. He steps up on the pulpit as all eyes are now on him, waiting in silence to see what he has to say. This morning, the pastor lets everyone know he will be treating them with a beautiful masterpiece of music he will play for them on the piano. This was something he had never done for them in all the years he had been there. Well, and with good reason. He has never had piano lessons and has no idea how to play. Once the congregation found that out, they looked confused and concerned for what their ears were about to hear. But as he sat down at the piano and stretched his fingers over the keys, a lady, well known to the congregation as a great and professional pianist, reached over the pastor and put her hands on top of his. As she led his hands, the music played. The pastor realized an important lesson as his hands were being led by the master pianist. Anytime he started to try and anticipate the next keys or think maybe he could do a little on his own, the music didn't flow as well. It wasn't until he completely surrendered his hands and let the master pianist lead fully that the music was beautiful and played out as it should. That's kind of what it's like with God working through you. Now, that sweet pastor I told you about is actually my brother. I asked him after the hundreds of sermons and studies he's taught over the years, Do you no longer get nervous when you get up to speak? He said, Oh, I still do. That bit of nervousness is always there. He said it's probably necessary to help me remember it's got to be God who speaks and not me. He always has to be reliant on the Master's hands to guide him and speak through him. We are all going to be tempted, though, to do it on our own. It's a continuous temptation that's looming, and we have to watch out for it. You may start taking on the responsibility of things and thinking it's about how much you can do for the Lord. But remember our job. It's to listen and obey. God has the outcome. God told Jeremiah to tell some awful news of coming destruction and call out people's sin. Jeremiah wasn't getting a lot of likes on what he was posting. He actually got none. But was he failing because of that? No. He was doing what God said to do. Remember, the outcome and work being done is God's. God will guide us and speak through us, though it can be scary at times because it's something that we can't do on our own. And it's not always going to get people's approval, right? That's why a prayer I have for myself has been, God, please let me hear your voice clearly and have the faith to follow. I'm going to repeat that. God, please let me hear your voice clearly and have the faith to follow. We trust in the Master. We surrender to him because he is creating a beautiful masterpiece in you and through you.